The mission begins. A human among aliens, the wind on planet Volcaris was not like Earth's. It was thick, heavy, almost alive. Captain Ray Carter stood still as it brushed past his face, carrying the scent of ash and metal. Smoke rose from the battlefield behind him. Fire burned across the alien jungle, and the sky above was a dark shade of red. Ray had seen many battlefields in his life, but nothing like this. He tapped the side of his helmet. "Comm check. Base, do you read me?" Only static replied. His ship had crashed 3 hours ago. The mission was simple: recover a lost black box from a downed alien scout ship. But now his team was gone, the signal was dead, and he was alone. He checked his rifle. Still had power. His armor was damaged, but holding. "Just get the box and get out," he muttered to himself. He walked carefully through the forest. The trees were massive, glowing faintly from their roots to their leaves. Strange sounds echoed all around. Clicks, growls, whispers. Nothing like Earth. Ray kept moving, step by step. Then he heard it. A low, deep growl. Not from the trees. From beneath them. He froze. The growl came again, louder this time. It wasn't the sound of something hunting. It was the sound of something in pain. Curious and cautious. Ray followed the noise. What he saw next made him stop in his tracks. A huge creature lay on the ground, half covered in rubble. It was wounded, its silvery blue skin covered in deep cuts. Golden blood oozed from its side. Its eyes, bright and intelligent, looked at him. It was not a monster. It was a beast. Majestic, royal, and dying. Ray raised his rifle by instinct, but something in its eyes made him pause. The creature didn't growl again. It didn't try to attack, it only looked at him, like it was asking for help. "What the hell are you?" he whispered. His training screamed, "Leave it." His orders said retrieve the box, nothing else. But his heart told him something else. Ray lowered his weapon. He stepped closer. Slowly. Hands open. "Easy now. I'm not here to hurt you." The beast let out a soft rumble. Not a growl, but something like a sigh. He saw the rubble pressing into its side, heavy metal, probably part of the crashed alien ship. No wonder it couldn't move. Ray looked at the metal, looked at the beast. "All right," he said. "Let's see what we can do." He planted his boots, gripped the edge of the metal, and pushed. It didn't move. "Come on." He tried again, using all his strength. The metal groaned, shifted. Finally, it rolled off with a crash. The beast let out a loud breath, then slowly pulled itself free. It stood tall, almost twice Ray's height, and stretched its wings. Yes, wings. Thin, elegant, with a shimmer like stars. Ray stepped back. "You can fly?" The beast looked at him again. Then, it bowed its head. A chill ran down Ray's spine. Before he could say anything else, a loud screech cut through the sky. Alien dropships, black, sleek, and fast. They came down in a circle around them. Warriors in armor stepped out, tall with sharp features and glowing weapons. Ray raised his hands. "I'm not your enemy," but none of them aimed at him. Instead, they looked at the beast, and then they knelt. Ray looked around, confused. One of the warriors stood. A female, wearing armor with golden symbols. She looked at Ray, then at the beast, then back at Ray. She spoke in a calm, cold voice. "You saved the sacred beast of the crown. The ancient bond is now active." Ray blinked. "What bond?" She stepped forward, eyes fixed on his face. "By our law, you have become bound to the queen." "Wait, what?" "What queen?" The warrior touched her chest. "Our queen. She will want to meet you." Ray lowered his arms slowly. He had come here for a box, for a mission. Instead, he had saved a royal beast, and now aliens were bowing to him. As the dropships rose back into the sky, carrying him away from everything he knew, Ray couldn't help but ask himself, What the hell did I just get into? The ancient law. Bound to the Queen, the sky turned darker as the alien dropship moved through the clouds, silent like a ghost. Ray sat between two armored guards, their eyes never leaving him. The air inside the ship felt heavy, not just because of the pressure, but because something strange was happening. Something ancient and serious. Ray stared at the beast lying across from him. It was calm now, resting, breathing, almost like it trusted him. He couldn't understand why. He had saved it, yes? But this, all of this, you have no idea what you've done, do you? Ray looked up. It was the same warrior woman from before. Tall, sharp, with golden lines running down her face. Her voice was smooth but cold. I saved a dying creature, Ray said. Not just a creature, she replied. You saved the royal beast, born only once in 1,000 years, bound by blood to our queen. Ray frowned. I didn't ask for anything. It doesn't matter, she said. The law is older than our throne. He leaned forward. What law? The woman stared at him for a long moment. Then she spoke. When the royal beast is in mortal danger, only the one with the heart of a true warrior can save it, and if he does, the bond is sealed. The one who saves the beast becomes the chosen by fate. For the queen. Ray blinked. You're saying I'm supposed to marry your queen? The guards shifted slightly, as if even the word marry made them uncomfortable. The woman didn't smile. Not marry, bind. Your soul and hers become one. Through ceremony, through law, through destiny. Ray shook his head. No offense, but that sounds insane. I'm just a soldier. That's why the beast chose you, she said quietly. The ship broke through the clouds. Below them was the capital city, a shining jewel surrounded by silver mountains. Towers like spires stretched into the sky, glowing with alien energy. But even from here, the palace stood apart, black and gold carved into the cliffside like a monument to forgotten gods. The ship landed with a soft thud. Guards surrounded the ramp. Hundreds of alien citizens stood behind energy walls, trying to catch a glimpse of the man who saved the beast. Whispers rose in the crowd. The human, the outsider, the chosen. Ray stepped down slowly. As he walked toward the palace, he saw a group of priests waiting, dressed in flowing robes, holding ancient scrolls. They looked at him not with anger, but awe and fear. Inside the palace, everything was silent. Walls carved with strange symbols, statues of past queens, giant portraits with strange creatures beside them, all with glowing eyes. As he entered the throne room, he saw her, the queen. She sat on a high platform, dressed in armor made of light. Her eyes were dark violet. Her crown floated just above, her head spinning gently like a ring of stars. She looked young, powerful, and deeply sad. The room was silent. Ray bowed awkwardly. Ma'am? She didn't speak for a moment. Then her voice echoed softly. You are human. Yes, Your Majesty. You saved the beast. Do you know what that means? Ray shook his head. Not really. The queen stood slowly. Her footsteps made no sound. She came down the stairs and stopped just inches from him. The law has spoken. We are bound now. By fate, by history, and by blood. Ray hesitated. But why me? The queen looked past him to the beast lying near the wall. Because the last time this happened, the galaxy burned. Ray turned sharply. Wait, this happened before? She nodded. Many centuries ago, a human, a queen, a bond, and a war that nearly ended our people. He swallowed. So, this is bad? This, she whispered, is dangerous. Behind them, the priests began chanting. The ceremony had begun. A symbol on Ray's hand began to glow. A mark he hadn't seen before. He panicked. What's happening to me? You are being marked, she said. The first step of the bond. Guards surrounded them. The Queen looked at Ray, something unreadable in her eyes. They don't want this. They fear what you represent. Ray glanced around. I don't even know what I represent. Hope, she said, or ruin. The beast let out a soft growl. The Queen turned to it and raised her hand. It calmed instantly. They will test you. They will try to break you. But if you survive, if you stay true, she stepped closer. You will become part of our empire and our history. Ray stared at her. He had come to find a black box. Now he was standing beside a queen, bonded by ancient law, in a palace full of enemies, and somewhere deep inside, a war was beginning to stir. Political games. Not everyone is happy. The palace was not quiet anymore. Since the binding ritual had begun, voices whispered through the walls. Footsteps echoed longer. Guards stood with tighter grips on their weapons. And the Queen was watched more than ever. Ray Carter could feel it. They were waiting. Not for his victory, for his failure. He stood on a balcony overlooking the capital. Flying ships passed by, lights blinking across the sky. Below, alien citizens gathered, looking up toward the palace that now held a human in its halls. He could feel their stares. He could feel their fear. Behind him, the Queen's voice broke the silence. You feel it too, she said. Ray turned. She wore a dark robe now, her crown dimmed to a soft silver glow. Even without it, she stood like someone born to rule. They hate me, Ray said, and they don't even know me. The Queen walked to his side. They don't need to know you. All they see is change. Ray shook his head. What do they think I'm going to do? Sit on the throne? She looked at him. If the bond completes, you won't just sit on the throne, you will shape it. He didn't answer. His thoughts were still stuck on something else, the mark on his hand. It had grown darker, and now when he touched certain objects, they responded, like the palace itself recognized him. He didn't want power, but power had chosen him. The royal court gathered the next day, a circular chamber of leaders, priests, warriors, and lords, each more alien than the last. Tall ones with glowing skin, short ones with mechanical eyes, and one who floated rather than walked. The Queen stood at the center. The ritual has begun, she said calmly. Whispers broke out immediately. One of the council lords stood, a tall figure in black and silver robes. Lord Valzek. Your Majesty, he said with a bow, forgive my words, but this cannot continue. The Queen narrowed her eyes. By law it must. By law, perhaps, but by wisdom? Never. His voice grew sharper. He is an outsider, a human. What does he know of our people, our ways, our war? Another lord stood beside him. He should not sit beside the crown. He should be sent back to his world. Ray remained silent, standing beside the Queen like a soldier. But inside, his fists clenched. The Queen raised her hand. The chamber fell silent. He saved the royal beast. The law is clear. I did not choose him. Fate did. Valsek smiled, coldly. Or perhaps it was a mistake. A trick of blood. The beast is ancient, but not perfect. The Queen's voice sharpened. Choose your words carefully, Lord Valsek. Valsek bowed again. But the message was clear. This was war, not of weapons, but of whispers. That night, Ray couldn't sleep. He walked the palace halls, lit by floating crystals that glowed, a soft blue. Everything here was too quiet, too perfect, like a dream hiding a nightmare. As he passed the dining chamber, he saw something strange, a figure in servant robes, slipping something into a goblet. Ray's instincts kicked in. He stepped forward, quiet as a shadow. The servant didn't notice until Ray grabbed him. A short fight, quick, brutal. The servant tried to scream, but Ray silenced him with one strike. Guards rushed in. The Queen arrived moments later, They examined the goblet. Poison. Enough to kill a beast twice the size of the queen. She looked at Ray. You were the target. Ray said nothing, but his eyes told the truth. Not everyone was ready to wait for politics to work. Some wanted him dead. The next morning, news of the attempt had spread. Some claimed it was a setup. Others whispered that Ray faked it to gain sympathy. Distrust filled the palace like smoke. The queen met Ray in the garden. It was the only place without ears. They're going to try again, he said. She nodded. Yes, and the next time, it may not be poison. Then why not end it? He asked. End the bond. Send me back. She looked at him with something new in her eyes, not just duty, not just curiosity, a flicker of belief. Because you're not just part of this story anymore. You're the key. Ray frowned. To what? She pointed at the stars above. To what comes next? Far away, in a hidden chamber deep beneath the palace, Valsec stood before a frozen figure, an ancient one, locked in crystal. Wake him, Valsec said to the robed priests. The oldest one hesitated. But my lord, if we wake him, the old war returns. Valsec's eyes burned. Then let it return. I would rather burn this empire than let a human sit on its throne. The crystal began to crack. Something inside opened its eyes. Secrets of the past. This has happened before. The palace felt colder now, not because of the weather. Volcaris had no seasons, but because of fear. Silent, creeping fear. After the poison attempt, Ray could feel it in every glance, every whispered word. Someone wanted him gone, but no one would admit it. That evening, while guards prepared for another royal ceremony, Ray walked alone through the deeper halls of the palace, the parts not open to most. His steps echoed softly. Walls here were older, covered in vines made of glowing crystal. The air was colder, dry, ancient. His hand, the one with the mark, began to tingle. He paused. The mark glowed faintly, like it was reacting to something nearby. We shouldn't be here, a voice said behind him. Ray turned. It was the queen. She stood there quietly, her face softer than before. She looked more like a woman and less like a ruler in this forgotten place. Then why did you follow me? Ray asked. Because I knew you'd find it, she replied. They walked together in silence for a while. Then they reached it, a massive circular chamber, the walls covered in carvings, thousands of years old. The room was untouched by technology. No lights, no guards, only truth. At the center stood a tall mural carved in stone. A human. Not like Ray. Older, dressed in battle armor, standing beside an alien queen, not just beside her, holding her hand. Ray stared at it, speechless. The queen watched him closely. Now you see. This happened before, he whispered. She nodded. Yes. Long ago. Before the empire, we know. Before the laws we live by. What happened to them? He asked. They loved, she said quietly. And because of that love, the stars burned. She stepped closer to the mural, tracing the lines with her fingers. His name was Orion. He came from your world, long before your people even had space travel. A survivor of a lost expedition. She was Queen Illyria, powerful, wise, and cursed by tradition. They were bonded like us? Ray asked. No, she said. They bonded by choice. And the galaxy could not accept it. Ray's chest felt tight. What happened? The queen looked into his eyes. They were betrayed. By her council, by his own people, and when the stars turned against them, he fought. Alone, and died. Protecting her. Ray looked back at the mural. The human's face was carved with pride. But his eyes were carved with sorrow. Why hide this? Ray asked. Because the truth is dangerous, she said. If the people knew this wasn't the first time, they would fear you even more. A silence fell between them. Maybe they should, Ray muttered. The Queen tilted her head. Why? He clenched his fists. Because I'm not Orion. I don't want a throne, I don't want destiny, I just want to go home. She took a deep breath. You can't go home anymore, she said. Not as you were. He turned sharply. Why not? Because something inside you is waking, she said. His blood, his memories. The mark is not just a symbol. It's a key. Ray stared at her. Are you saying I'm related to him? Maybe, she said softly. Or maybe the universe brought your soul back. Some believe bonds like this never die. They only return. Before Ray could answer, a loud rumble shook the chamber. The walls trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. They've begun, the Queen whispered. Who? Ray asked. She turned to him, her voice sharp. Valsec. He's awakened the old one. The one who killed Orion. Far below the palace, in the shadowed pits of the Empire, a prison of living stone cracked open. From within, something stepped. Out, not a beast, not a god, something worse. Its eyes were fire, its voice a whisper of storms. It had waited for centuries, locked away by the old Queen. And now, freed by Valsec. Who is the old one? Ray asked as they ran through the halls. A fallen guardian, the Queen said, once sworn to protect the royal bloodline. But he turned. He wanted the Queen for himself. He killed Orion, Ray said, piecing it together. She nodded. And now he will kill again. Guards met them at the main stair. Your Majesty, one shouted. A dark force has entered the palace perimeter. It moves like smoke. No weapons can stop it. Ray stepped forward. Then maybe it's not weapons it fears. They all looked at him. The Queen's voice was soft, but steady. You carry the last piece of Orion's soul. If that's true, then you are the only one who can stop the old one. Ray looked down at his hand. The mark was burning now, glowing brighter than ever. He nodded. Then I guess it's time to stop running from fate. The attack. Kill the Human night had fallen over the capital city of Volcaris, but the sky was still lit, not by stars, but by alarm beacons. Red lights blinked across the towers. Sirens echoed like warning drums from an ancient war. Guards scrambled through the palace corridors, weapons drawn, eyes sharp. But they weren't prepared for this. Nothing was. Inside the royal war room, the Queen stood at the center, her hands pressed against a floating map made of light. Around her, commanders shouted updates, their faces tight with fear. Sector 3 breached. Central defense offline. Our weapons passed through it. No damage, no effect. The Queen didn't flinch. She turned her gaze toward Ray. He stood quietly at her side, armor on, the glowing mark on his hand pulsing like a heartbeat. It's coming for me, he said. No, she replied. It's coming for what you might become. A guard rushed in. Your Majesty, like it's inside the walls. The lights flickered. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, a whisper. A voice not heard in centuries. You are not Orion. The temperature dropped. Glass cracked. And from the far end of the war room, shadows began to pour in, like smoke with eyes, like memory turned into death. From that darkness, a figure stepped out, tall, wrapped in robes made of void, its face hidden behind an old broken mask, cracked down the center. But its eyes glowed red like two dying stars. The old one. The Queen stepped forward, her energy blades flaring to life. You will not touch him. The creature tilted its head. He does not belong here. His kind brings ruin. He is mine by the law, the Queen said firmly. And I, the creature growled, am older than law. With a wave of its hand, the floor exploded. A blast of invisible force knocking everyone back. The creature charged forward like a storm. Ray barely had time to react. His hand lit up. Energy burst from his palm. Wild, unfocused, the force threw the old one off balance. Just for a second. "Run," the queen shouted, but Ray didn't. He stood his ground. "I've seen you in dreams," he said. "You killed him. You killed Orion," the creature hissed. "And I will kill you, before history repeats itself." They clashed, not with swords. With Will Ray's body moved without thought, like someone else was guiding him. A memory not his own, the spirit of the warrior that came before. The mark on his hand created a barrier, just enough to shield the queen. They fought across the throne hall, shattering statues, cracking pillars. The old one was stronger, faster, immortal. But Ray had something else. Resolve. The queen joined the fight, blades cutting through shadows, defending Ray like a guardian of fate. But even together they were losing. Outside the palace, in the skies above, Valsec watched from his private ship. "Is it done?" he asked his advisor. The man bowed. "Soon, my lord. The old one will kill the human, and the queen will be forced to return to tradition." Valsec smiled. "Good. We will restore the old empire. No more humans, no more prophecies." Inside, Ray crashed against the wall, coughing blood. His vision blurred. His body was failing. The old one raised his arm for the final strike. "You are weak," it said. But then, something changed. The mural, the one of Orion and the queen, glowed deep beneath the palace, and above them, the mark on Ray's hand burst into light. A voice, not his own, echoed in his mind. "Stand, soldier, one last time." Ray stood. His eyes changed. He didn't become Orion, but he remembered him, and for one moment, they fought as one. Ray's energy exploded outward, slamming the old one back with a blast of pure force. The queen rushed in, striking deep with her blade. The mask cracked further. The creature screamed, and then disappeared into smoke. Hours later, the palace was sealed. Repairs began. Bodies were carried out. But the city was saved. For now. Ray sat on the edge of the queen's private garden, blood on his shirt, dirt. On his face, she sat beside him. "You were willing to die," she said. "I've been doing that my whole life," Ray replied with a tired smile. She looked at him. "He'll return, I know," he said. "But so will I." She reached out and touched his hand. The mark was calm now, but warm. "You are not Orion," she said softly. "No," Ray whispered. "I'm something else." And above them, in the sky of Volcaris, new star appeared, one no map had ever recorded, a sign that history was changing. Rise of the human, from soldier to legend. 3 days passed since the attack, but the palace still carried the scars. Pillars shattered, floors cracked, ancient artifacts turned to dust. The old one had vanished into smoke, but everyone knew he would return, and next time, he wouldn't be alone. The empire was holding its breath, and in that breath, something began to change. Not in the walls, not in the weapons. In the people, Ray stood in the training hall surrounded by alien soldiers, not enemies but watchers, some curious, some cold. He wore light armor now, not by tradition, but because it let him move freely. His hand still bore the glowing mark, and his body still ached from the battle, but his spirit had never stood taller. "Again," he said. A warrior stepped forward. 4 arms, 2 blades, twice Ray's size. The fight was brutal, fast, deadly, but Ray didn't win with strength. He won with rhythm, timing, understanding. When the warrior dropped his blade and knelt, others followed. In silence. The queen, watching from above, whispered to her advisor, "They're starting to believe, but not all." Valsec stood before the High Council, voice sharp as fire. "He is dangerous. Every moment he walks among us, our future slips from our hands." The lords nodded, but some hesitated. "He saved the capital," one said. He awakened power no human should hold, Valsec replied. And now the queen stands beside him like some prophecy reborn. He slammed a crystal onto the table. A legal challenge. If she will not return to tradition, then let the old ways decide. The room went quiet. The challenge had been spoken that evening. The queen met Ray in the royal archive. No guards, no robes, just truth. They've issued a trial by combat, she said. Ray nodded. Figured. You can refuse. But then I lose everything. Yes, she said, including your life. He took a breath. Who's my opponent? Her voice was soft. Valsec's blood son, Prince Kale, undefeated, trained in 10 warrior arts. Ray chuckled darkly. So, easy fight then? The queen didn't smile. She stepped closer. If you die, they will take me. The bond will be broken. The past will repeat. Ray looked into her eyes. Then let's change the ending. The arena was older than the empire itself, built in stone, surrounded by energy shields, watched by thousands, no cameras, no tech, only eyes, only honor. On one side, Prince Kale in black armor, twin blades curved like fangs. On the other, a human, alone, scarred, steady, no armor, just instinct. The queen stood high above, her face unreadable. The bell rang. The duel began. Kale moved like lightning. Attacks flowed like water. Ray dodged, blocked, spun. He didn't fight to kill. He fought to learn. Every strike taught him something. Every mistake became a weapon. The crowd watched in silence, then gasped. Ray landed a blow, not with power, but with precision. Kale bled, and the Empire saw something it hadn't seen in generations. A human, standing over royal blood, not gloating, not celebrating, just breathing alive. The queen stood. The challenge has ended. The bond remains. And the law has spoken. Many in the crowd cheered, others left in silence. But one voice in the shadows growled, "This isn't over." That night, Ray stood at the palace balcony. The stars were bright again. The queen joined. Him. You've made enemies, she said. I already had some, he replied. She paused. And you've made believers. He looked at her. Including you? She didn't answer. But her hand gently took his, and the mark glowed between their fingers. Far away, in the deepest dark of the Empire, the Old One spoke to Valsec. The human rises. Soon, even death won't stop him. Valsec stepped back. Then what do we do? The Old One grinned beneath his broken mask. We do what we should have done long ago. His hand touched an ancient gate. It opened from the shadows beyond. Something stepped forward, taller than a beast, older than time. Not one enemy, but many. We summon the forgotten, the Old One whispered. We burn the future. The Queen's choice. Humanity rises. The night before war felt different, quieter, not calm, but heavy, like the galaxy was holding its breath. From the palace rooftop, Ray watched the skies burn with the light of enemy ships. Valsec's army had arrived. The Old One had opened the ancient gate, and what stepped through were creatures no one remembered. But all feared, the forgotten. Not just beasts. They were once protectors of the Empire, twisted now into monsters, shadows of honor. They came from every world once ruled by the throne, and now they marched. To destroy it, Ray stood there, jaw tight, armor strapped. Behind him, the Queen approached in silence. She looked tired, not weak, just weighed down, by legacy, by history, by choices no one should have to make. It's almost time, she said softly. Ray nodded. How many ships? Too many. How many allies? Not enough. He looked at her, the wind pulling her hair across her face. Then we make it enough. The next morning, the skies were black. Not from storm, but from war. The Queen's palace had turned into a fortress. Banners pulled down, shields raised. Every citizen knew this was not just a fight for a throne, this was a fight for the future. Valsec sent his final message. Break the bond, surrender the human, and the Empire will live. The Queen's reply was simple. No. Inside the war chamber, Rey stood before the last defense force. Aliens from different houses, warriors from different clans. Many still didn't trust him. Many still saw him as just a man. He stepped forward anyway. You don't have to believe in me, he said, voice calm. But believe in what this means. If we fall today, the old ways return. Fear returns. And the throne will belong to darkness again. He looked at them, every face. You don't fight for me. You fight for the chance that your children won't have to bow to monsters. Today, we end the cycle. And they followed him. The battle began. Fire in the skies. Screams across the towers. The Forgotten swept through the city like a storm of bone and shadow. Rey fought beside the Queen, back to back, her blades glowing with royal light, his hands lit with Orion's fire. He had become more than human now, not because of power, but because of purpose. Valsec entered the palace with the Old One beside him, stepping over the bodies of their own fallen. Take the throne, Valsec said. Make them kneel. The Queen stood at the top of the stairs, armor broken, blood across her cheek. You've already lost, she said. Valsec laughed. How? Your people are dying. She looked at Rey, and then stepped forward, removing her crown. It floated above her hand, not falling, not fading, but pulsing with life. I choose him, she said. Valsec's smile vanished. You can't. I can, she said. And I will. She turned to Rey. You didn't come here for power, but you showed us how to use it. She placed the crown in front of him. A quiet spread through the hall. Even the Forgotten paused. The bond between them, sealed by law, by war, by fire, now stood between empires. Rey touched the crown, not to wear it, but to change it. A pulse of energy exploded outward. The mark on his hand lit the entire throne room. Every Forgotten creature froze. Turned. Stepped back. The Old One screamed. No, you are not Orion. Rey stepped toward him. No, he said. I'm the result of what you tried to destroy. He raised his hand. A wave of light burst out. Not of fire, not of weapons, but memory. The Forgotten screamed, not in pain, but in recognition. They remembered who they were. Guardians. Protectors. Not slaves. Some fell to their knees. Some turned on Valsec's forces. And the Old One vanished into dust. Not defeated, but undone. Hours later, the battlefield was silent. Bodies burned, towers cracked, but the Empire stood, and above the palace 2 figures walked through the smoke. A queen and a human. The people watched in silence as the Queen raised his hand. No longer outsider, no longer stranger, no longer enemy. She looked at her people. This is Rey Carter of Earth, the one who saved our future. The crowd knelt, not in worship, but in respect. That night, Rey stood once more on the balcony. The Queen joined him. You're not going back, are you? She asked. He shook his head. There's nothing left for me back there. Not after this? She smiled. Then let's build something better here. He smiled back. Together. In the sky above Volcaris, a new constellation had appeared. A man and a queen side by side. Some said it was just stars. Others said it was a sign that the galaxy had changed. Forever.